Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Florida from my side. This is Rudy saying hello. It is Tuesday. It is April the 4th, and I'm joined by a very special guest, Thomas Lamb, who is the CEO of MYRIAD Uranium.
Hi, Rudy.
Thomas, thank you for taking the time to join us and to chat with us for a few minutes. Obviously, I mentioned I'm in Florida, and you currently find yourself where?
I am in Phuket, Thailand, on a
Oh,
family holiday. Very nice.
good for you. So sorry to interrupt your family holiday with a discussion about business, but thank you for making
It's a
time.
pleasure.
Yeah.
It's
So
a pleasure. Happy to.
I won't keep you too away from your family for too long, and maybe it's probably soon going to be bedtime for you, right? Like, I don't know, what's the time in Phuket?
That's right. It's evening. It's around 8 p.m.
Hey, oh, okay.
But we do go to bed fairly early. It's true. So
Yeah.
yeah, we'll see.
All right. So, I think we can spend a few minutes and introduce Myriad Uranium to our audience. But maybe to start with, many people, including myself, are very often influenced by investing in the people as opposed to just the company or the commodity or whatever. So, maybe to kick it
Sure.
off with, tell us a little bit about your professional background and how you ended up at Myriad Uranium.
Fine. Yes. So I became CEO about 5 or 6 months ago. Uh, how it happened is that, and this relates to my background, I went to law school quite a few years ago now with a gentleman named Pete Smith. We went to the University of British Columbia together in Vancouver. He's an extremely smart lawyer. Went on to has had a very interesting career in law as a professor. Worked in New York. Went to Cambridge and created has a really neat professional background and a network that he has built over the years. And I've been lucky enough. I left law. I was a corporate lawyer, an M&A lawyer early in my career. I left law, 2003, 2004, and I bumped into him on the street. Again, this is Pete Smith, is his name. And starting around then, we both quit, working at these big law firms, and we became entrepreneurs, and mostly in the mining space, although some other things. So it was Pete that actually put this deal together, put MYRIAD Uranium together. But because we're partners on things, he involved me early on. And I think he knew in the back of his, maybe he had this plan that I was going to become CEO. And here's the reason. So I was an M&A lawyer. I was a corporate lawyer. I got lucky. I started a few junior mining companies with partners, including Pete, 2004, 2005, et cetera. Built a gold producer called Gold Group starting in 2005. We had a very nice IPO in 2010. I moved to London, went to London Business School, did a master's there, and got recruited to be on the board of, I had some successes along the way that led to this. Joined the board of one of Russia's big mining companies there. And then around that time, also ended up in East Africa, project generator with some very good partners, and built a cobalt company, sold that to what's effectively an offshoot of Glencore called Jervois Global. It's been an interesting few years. And so I'm a mining guy, corporate lawyer, finance, Africa, 11 years in Africa. I speak French. I have a lot of experience building companies, and got lucky selling a few. And so that's the story of MYRIAD and my professional background all in one. I'll just add that Pete Smith, when he went to Cambridge, became close with somebody who knows these well-connected Nigerians, and these people from Niger and West Africans. They picked up these MYRIAD, what are now the MYRIAD uranium licenses, after Orano or Areva dropped them in the aftermath of Fukushima. Mm-hmm. That's how all this came together. I've been a consultant to MYRIAD for a long time, and I think it was inevitable that I was going to become CEO, really, starting about 6 months ago. That's the background.
Oh, cool. Thomas, is Pete the gentleman I met with you when I was at the mining indaba?
Exactly. You've got it.
Yeah.
That's right.
Good
Yeah.
man.
He
Yeah.
really
So
is. Yeah.
I was reading a little bit about your the background of the company, and there are references, and I just need to refer to my notes here because I'm not going to remember these foreign and interesting names, which I'm
Sure.
probably going to screw up completely, like names like Agabot or Agabot, or how do you say an Agabot license?
Sure. So if you're an Anglophone, maybe you'd say Agabut, Afoude, Tagait. But maybe the French pronunciation, and if you're Nigerian, would be Ajabu.
Ajabu. Okay.
So that's a key one. Afoude is probably the same, and
Yeah.
Tajait or Tagait. Yeah, the other licenses. Yeah.
So there's a trail of events here because it says the licenses were formerly held by Orano's predecessor, Arriva. And then it mentions Imuraren. Have I got that right?
Yes.
All right.
Very close. Very close. Imararan. I say Imararan, but
Imuraren. Okay.
yeah.
380,
Would you like me to run?
384 million pounds, right? So
Yeah, amazing. So I can give you a little bit of background on the projects if you like.
yes,
Just
please.
briefly. Yeah. So what happened was Orano used to be Arriva, French state-owned uranium giant, held virtually all of the Tim-Rissoy uranium basin in Niger, one of the great uranium basins. Explored the whole basin with regional scale exploration. So this is just geophysics and some drill holes widely spaced over the years. Made discoveries. Somer, Cominac, those were operating uranium mines to our north. Although one is just recently shut. And they discovered Imararan. This is Africa's largest uranium deposit. So they held all this ground up until the mid-2000s, and there were some other foreign investors that came in. We know about Global Atomic and GoviEx and some others who've made really big discoveries. But around 2011, well, in 2011 March, we have the Fukushima Daiichi accident, and there were some political factors too. Arriva/Orano exited exploration in Niger at the time, relinquishing its exploration licenses. It just held on to Africa's largest uranium deposit and its mill processing facilities and the two operating mines. So that is how this opportunity came about. Local folks in Niger that we are our partners, they stepped in and acquired these licenses, which were relinquished over time after Fukushima and low uranium prices, $19 uranium, and political reasons too. So that's how this we got these licenses effectively. We have a 100% option over the licenses. We will earn 100% of the licenses by spending initially a few $1 million to get to 80%. And then within 6 years, we have a $6 million payment to acquire 100% of the licenses. That's the background of the licenses.
Okay. So you've actually sort of almost created a natural segue there because you've made a couple of, let's call them macro investment thesis points as it relates to uranium. Obviously, much of it and much of the uranium related discussions date back to Fukushima and that accident, which obviously had a huge negative impact on the market as a whole. And you briefly sort of touched on political influences, which obviously pop up in a variety of different ways in different geographies and with different reasons and all that kind of stuff. But I think maybe we can spend a minute or two just talking about the macro thesis sort of in general around uranium.
Sure.
And what I'd also like to hear from you, if you have an opinion that you can share with us, is about the small and medium-sized reactors and what that might look like, and restart and sort of where we're at, perhaps touching on the market just in general. Where is the market? Is it all China, India? Is the European Union still in play? Does the United States still want to enforce some kind of a quota or something? Like, where are we at?
Amazing and so interesting. All these questions. I love this this subject. So so many things to talk about. I could touch on a few interesting ones that are especially interesting to me, and you can ask me to elaborate or go in a different direction. Mm-hmm. One of the most interesting things happening right now is Kazakhstan. It's the world's top producer. Produces most of its uranium via in situ recovery. Mm-hmm. Very inexpensive and very, very inexpensive and very efficient method. So there's Kazakhstan. It normally exports almost all of its uranium to Russia, which then gets processed and turned into, the pellets and fuel rods for the various designs of reactors. Well, because of the fuel cycle, and now everybody especially Western utilities buy uranium and source their fuel rods, et cetera, largely out of St. Petersburg, Russia. Mm-hmm. Because you have these Western utilities that now want to get away from sourcing from Russia, mm-hmm. Especially the fuel bundles, especially. So what are you going to do? And what is Kazakhstan going to do? It has there's these systems in place, and the shipping and logistics it's all very carefully regulated and handled. If the Western utilities aren't going to buy from Russia, then where does Kazakhstan send its uranium, and et cetera? Dynamics are incredibly interesting. It has to ship them out through the Caucasus, but there's not enough capacity. Mm-hmm. Log jams here, log jams there. Russia has to sell its uranium bundles to somebody. That is and it will be India, China, and other sort of less aligned states. Mm-hmm. But you need to customize these fuel bundles to the reactors. These dynamics are extremely interesting. So that's just something. You've got the Chinese who are building reactors like crazy. Mm-hmm. They're going to need a lot of uranium. How's everybody going to get the uranium they need? People who dive into the numbers, they see a supply deficit. Mm-hmm. But you have these other interesting things. China wants to build a physical uranium reserve, right? My understanding is right near the border towards Kazakhstan. So in Western China, yeah. Is Kazakhstan going to prioritize this Chinese physical supply that Chinese are seeking over delivery obligations to the West? Well, maybe. Mm-hmm. Also, you've got Kazatomprom that's now just announced that it's going to build up a really big physical uranium reserve itself. It's going to prioritize building that up over obligations to other countries. Maybe. Interesting. You've got a lot of joint ventures.
Yeah.
Kazakhstan, you got Orano, Cameco, Kazatomprom, et cetera. And these mines may be joint ventures and these arrangements, but we're going to start to see prioritization, in my view. Mm-hmm. And that is going to put pressure on Western supply of uranium, pricing, et cetera. Just a few interesting dynamics. These are among the wide range of dynamics out there. You've also got long-term pricing in the background that's not visible to people. It's opaque. That is higher than the spot price currently. It's going to, in my view, start pulling up the spot price, which is exciting because then you get retail investors and others can see that the price is going up. Right. These are some dynamics. Lots of construction, not enough supply. Let's talk about any of this if you like. Yeah.
Thomas, are those long-term contracts typically sort of 10 years, or is it different, or does it vary?
I don't know a lot about the long-term contracting,
mm-hmm.
so I'm not sure exactly. Mm-hmm. I don't know how long they are.
There are people who have mentioned that the sort of lifespan of the assets that that Cameco currently controls and owns is getting to the point where there might be sort of 10 years, 15 years or whatever. So
It's
they
true.
need to look to make some acquisitions or some JVs or something. They'd have to take some kind of action.
I think so. I mean, the high grade, well, if you're going to focus on the Athabasca and in central Canada, that is the highest grade by far, uranium. It's even such high grade stuff that you need robots and things to mine it. But that's a different story. But you're right. I mean, do they have 10 years of reserves? Maybe 15 if they expand. This is in central Canada. So then what?
Yeah.
So they're going to have to acquire supply access in other places in the world. Niger is extremely interesting. Your viewers who investigate it, it's currently fifth, maybe largest producer. It could get up to second largest producer. It's this vast uranium basin that has not been explored, just superficially explored by the French, effectively. Yeah. There's a lot of uranium there, and it could be second largest producer soon. Niger would be one of the places that Cameco and others, they're going to have to go. Niger has been supplying the United States with secure, uninterrupted supply since 2007, for example. Just thought I'd mention that. And the U.S. has its largest Air Force base in Africa in the middle of the uranium basin in Niger. Also very interesting. They think they thought about that.
Sure. So you made a couple of references to Russia, more as it relates to Kazakhstan. Do you have any sort of uranium-related thoughts about the Russia-Ukraine conflict that's obviously still dragging on, or is it impacting uranium in some way that we perhaps may not be familiar with?
So I think it's going to have and it will have a really positive impact on the uranium price of uranium, in my view. Of course, the entire thing is absolutely tragic. But if you're looking at, if you're a uranium investor and you want the price to go up, I think it will have that impact. If you're from the West and you're looking at the West, because we have all been complacent / relaxed about uranium supply chain for decades. It's been this very nice arrangement in the world with the Russians taking the lead on, design and fuel bundle manufacturing, et cetera, and also nuclear power plant design and build and servicing contracts, et cetera. But all that is going to have to shift now. We see that, nothing matters now except the fact that you can't, I've got to be careful how I say it, but we can't trust the Russians regarding this stuff at the moment, or at least this is how Western utilities and governments feel. Yeah. You need secure supply. It has to be long term. You have to be able to have a diversity of options, to access conversion and et cetera, and then the manufacture of fuel bundles. You can't just be reliant on the Russians. What if they shut off? What if they said, okay, we're not going to deliver any more fuel bundles? You're in big trouble after the stockpiles, especially in the United States. They stockpile, I think, a couple of years of fuel bundles in case of emergency, but things will get pretty tight. So yeah, very interesting. This should pull up uranium pricing.
All right. So talking about pull up, let's lift the mood a little bit, and then you tell us what the investment thesis is around MYRIAD Uranium Corporation specifically. How's that? Yeah.
Sorry about the mood. Yeah, no, this is very real to me. I love Russia in lots of ways, and so it's all emotional for us who are close with Ukraine and Russia, et cetera. So here's the thesis in a nutshell. We were extremely lucky. MYRIAD has done a deal to get 100% option over these amazing licenses, over 1,800 square kilometers of licenses. We would not get the deal we have today. Started on it. Pete, my predecessor and business partner, started on it about 18 months ago. The story is we are right next to Africa's largest uranium deposit on the same structure. Yeah. We're just a few kilometers away. Arriva's plan was to explore our area next with a lot of focused exploration to try to discover more MYRIADs. That's Africa's largest uranium deposit. They didn't quite get to it.
Yeah.
So now we've got it. So this is an amazing opportunity. That's the Net Ajoubut license you mentioned. This is just one of many opportunities. We're also very close to Global Atomic's DASA project. There's the Azusa fault that comes out of DASA. That deposit, which is extremely rich, high grade, like Athabasca like grades, we'd say. That fault goes right into our license. If we explore deeper, we have a shot at maybe finding another DASA, especially where that fault intersects with the Arlet fault, which hosts just North Africa's largest deposit. Mm-hmm. So, the idea with MYRIAD is that we are new. Our market cap is very low. We're just starting to tell our story to people. Once word gets out, we should be re-rated. Our comps would have us at least double, possibly triple our market cap, and this is without exploration and discovery. Mm-hmm. We have lots of old data from Arriva, now Orano. This is geophysics, surface work, drilling. It's going to help guide us. And we're just about to start. We'll be announcing this, but it's not. We've already told people this. We'll be doing geophysics, airborne surface geophysics to do drill targeting, and then we'll be able to drill these, really world-class targets.
So, that maybe leads me to an interesting question, which you are obviously welcome to either share as much or as little detail as you wish.
Sure.
But your sort of short-term or near-term goal is to be the most successful explorer in the world, according to your literature. How about the medium to longer-term goal? Is the objective to actually move from explorer to developer to producer, or is it an exit strategy, or what is it, whatever you're comfortable in terms of sharing?
Sure. We are not going to produce, I don't think. I mean, unless some new group comes in, wants to take over management, switch out the shareholders and the investors who invested because we're an explorer. So, I mean, anything's possible, but our goal is to make discoveries, advance them, delineate resources, and then there'll be lots of M&A. Niger is going to be very hot. It's already hotting up. We've got Orano, French government, Global Atomic. We've got GoVX right next door. They're looking for high-grade, exciting deposits. I'm sure. Haven't told me directly, but they'd be interested, I'm sure, in M&A if there's a great project to target. And then you just mentioned Cameco. Mm-hmm. You've got lots of everybody around the world would be interested. The Chinese, of course, too. They're already in Niger producing at their Azalik mine. So lots of buyers. If we make a nice discovery, we'll look at offers to be taken out for sure. The idea is to make our investors, a massive multiple of their investment, and and then it's time to move on.
Okay. So, Thomas, congrats on your recent listing. You've now given retail investors an opportunity to potentially acquire some MYRIAD uranium if they want to do so. And you want to talk a little bit about that, because how do people invest?
Great. So we have 3 stock tickers now, where our main listing is in Canada on the CSE. The symbol is M for MYRIAD. We now have an OTC listing, a US listing. The symbol there is MYRUF, MYRUF. And we have a Frankfurt ticker also, C3Q. So wherever you are, you'll be able to access our shares. Please take a look at us.
So what I will do is I will actually add the information about the exchanges and the ticker symbols under the description of the video, along with a link to your website so that people can find more information if they need to do so. But as I said at the beginning when we started, I don't want to take up too much of your time away from your family while you're on vacation. So from my side, we can wrap, unless there's some other great information you want to share before we end the meeting.
Yeah, thanks. No, listen, I appreciate it's a pleasure to see you again. It was really nice to meet you. a few months ago. And thank you everybody for watching this and looking at Myriad Uranium. I think it's an extremely interesting deal. So please take a close look at us. We'd be happy to have you along.
All right, Thomas, thank you for joining us, and best of success. And I hope some of the investors on our channel take a look at Myriad and maybe forward some questions. If I can't answer them, they're coming to you.
Oh, by all means, my email address is on all of our news releases. People are welcome to reach out to me. I'm happy to engage and elaborate on things.
All right, thank you, Thomas. Thank you for taking the time to join me.
Thanks, Rudy.
Yeah, bye.